Maybe Apple figured by disabling the Face ID and couple other features on all non-original displays initially, it would ensure people will bring the phone to them and pay $300 instead of going to a third party, so it made sense to make the display much easier to refurbish. No, it's not clickbait. I'll back up this claim throughout the video, but newer iPhones like the iPhone 13 series are the easiest to repair cracked screen glass on. Glass only repair also means you maintain the original quality Retina OLED display that Apple engineers worked hard to develop, and not some aftermarket display that has lower resolution, higher battery consumption, and also gives you an issue with True Tone, auto brightness, and or Face ID. Also, as a side note, no, you cannot tell the difference between them just by looking at what's printed on a certain part of the display. Knockoff manufacturers who have the technology to produce the parts aren't exactly shy. But is it easy enough to do without any heat and of course without freezing? With just isopropyl alcohol and a DIY repair kit found online? Also, what happens when you apply too much heat? Let's find out. In pretty much every other repair video, you see some sort of a heating pad, hairdryer, or heat gun used to heat the adhesive and open the display, but it's actually possible to skip this altogether. First, you take the patent pending ultra slim super flexible Oka blade to clear away any fine dirt and debris that may be stuck along the edges. There has to be a certain tolerance, especially where the glass meets the metal, due to the way they expand and contract. And because the Oka blade is only as thick human hair, it doesn't have a problem getting in there. The blade is included in every kit, which I will link below. You can soften the adhesive with isopropyl alcohol alone. You see other pros using a bottle like this, but really, you don't even need this. Take a Q-tip, soak it in isopropyl alcohol, and press it at the seam to squeeze out the alcohol. Do this all the way around and give it a few minutes. Remember that 99% isopropyl alcohol does not conduct electricity. If you must use 70% or 60%, just know that the other 30%, 40% respectively, is water and may conduct electricity. So make sure all the alcohol has evaporated before powering on the device if you're not using 99% isopropyl alcohol. Now you should be able to unscrew the pentalobe screws at the bottom and lift the screen like this, which allows you to slice through the adhesive holding the display to the phone. If the screen doesn't come up, you might need to repeat the previous step. iPhone 13 opens from the right side with rather short flex cables on the left side, so focus on slicing the adhesive along the right side. The display membrane on these phones is flexible, but only to a certain point. So when it comes to opening the device, don't pry it without slicing all of the adhesive because that can cause the screen to bend too much if one side is still stuck to the frame. You can see how the adhesive stretches like gum on a hot pavement, which is a sign it's the original seal. Remove these two shields and set them aside. When you see the pros with repair mats, screw mats, and specialized equipment, it's easy to fall into thinking you need them, but I do fine without. Maybe it's just that I'm not a pro at all, but I just lay the shield and the parts I remove off to the side. Just remember to place the screws by the hole it goes to because Apple is known to use these tiny screws that all differ ever so slightly in shapes and sizes. Like, okay, I understand that maybe different sizes were required for tight spaces, but what was the point of using all Phillips screws just fine, then all of a sudden use Y000 screw head here? With that being said, if you have a cold or if you currently have sneezing or coughing, set them a little further than you would. Trust me, I learned this the hard way. With the display removed, remove the shield holding the Face ID. In other videos, you see this entire flex cable being removed, but it's not necessary. You can just put some alcohol and gently lift the modules alone. Our inhibitions aren't the only thing softened by alcohol, so let's add some of that good stuff into the mix and use the Oka blade to make the initial separation. Just enough to start the wire. Now set the display on the gel pad glass side down. You only need one handle stick, and instead of using the screw, I like to just wrap it around a couple of times like this. Then use the wire tool like dental floss and slice through. Keep the wire as closely to the work surface as possible so the wire touches the front glass, thereby ensuring you don't slice the wrong layer. Another thing that makes this screen so repair friendly is how soft the glue is, and you will see later how easily it cleans up. The wire clearly went within the display area and the screen still works. Let's keep slicing. As you can see, it's possible to slice through the glue layer without heat, but it's painfully slow. I recommend using a hairdryer or a heat gun, but if you're into DIY or crafts, I highly recommend getting a heat gun. I picked mine up from a garage sale more than 10 years ago. I think I paid about $10 or $5, can't remember. and it served me well on a number of different projects. So I think it's safe to say the repair is possible without freezing and without applying heat, but what happens when you apply too much heat? Let's find out. It takes some time, so I'm going to speed this part up a little bit. It's at 220 now, which is when the heat damage starts to occur, and now there is this discoloration that won't go away. Even when you turn it on, it's still visible, although I guess you can say it's not quite terrible. But hey, at least this will prove that I didn't just swap the display at the end to prove this repair works. In some of the older videos, you see the pros using a laser thermometer to do repair like this, but I think this sticker is superior for this case because you get a constant readout. As I'll show you in another video, it's quite accurate too, and it's included in this kit exclusively. The sticker tells me when there's too much heat. Heat softens the adhesive and allows the wire to slice easier. It goes so much smoother and so much faster with heat, and frankly, the opening too would have gone much faster if the adhesive was loosened with heat. With iPhone 13, touch panel is under the polarizer. The polarizer is a film layer, kind of like a car's window tint film, and it being above the touch panel, also known as a digitizer, is a good thing, as the extra layer almost acts as a protective layer. In the Pixel video, I recommend removing small pieces of glass as you go because although rare, they can sometimes get caught on the wire and poke the display enough to cause damage, but I find the display is quite forgiving on the iPhone 13 series as a result of the extra film layer being above the sensitive electronic layer. I hear this change happened with the iPhone 12 series, so it should be the same case with the iPhone 12. 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max. The glass is removed and the screen still works perfectly. Glue found on these displays gotta be the softest. They started using the softer glue on the newer Samsung phones also, but I think this is next level. You can just roll them off with your fingers like this, but with the powered glue remover, it's off in seconds. It also leaves very close to no residue, so 1 or 2 wipes with some alcohol and the display is ready for gluing. One trick for gluing, trace out the shape at the top of the bezel on the protective film the glass comes with and place it on the underside, and this will protect against any glue getting on there, and you can pull it off after the gluing's done. Because you glue with the display off the phone, it's easy to clean worst case just using a Q-tip and isopropyl alcohol, but who wants to do extra work? Gluing is the same for iPhone 13. You would use 1.8 milliliter, and I'll list the amount for the other phones in the description section below. Dispense it in a dog bone shape and lower the glass slowly to avoid bubbles. The glue will pretty much spread on its own almost all the way thanks to capillary action and without much spillage thanks to surface tension. Heat helps speed this process up too, and tilting the display ever so slightly helps the glue flow one direction over the other as well. At the time of this video, looking online, there's about $150 to $200 difference in price between iPhones with cracked screens and the ones without. So consider that earned and don't forget to treat yourself. As for myself, I would have to say iPhones are now at the top of my flipping list. Because I found some of the ways Apple maximizes profit to be a little bit too cutthroat, I didn't want to support them, so I never owned one. But I think there's good value in repairing them, especially considering they charge around $300 for this repair. I've decided I'm going to put more time into sharing what I've learned over the past 10 years, and I'll do a video series on phone flipping too, as well as share some of the dark secrets of the industry. So if you want to hit the button, hit it. If you don't, then don't. That's your loss. You know which button I'm talking about. Just gently press to get the glue to the very end if needed, and hit it with the included UV light for about 30 seconds to tack it in place. When all of the edges have been tacked, cure it for 3 minutes, moving it from spot to spot. I'm not sure why this is not mentioned in other videos, but pro tip for when it comes to putting it all back together, if you want the phone to be water resistant again, make sure to remove all of the old adhesive. The frame should be squeaky clean. And this can be achieved with, once again, isopropyl alcohol and Q-tip. In all my other videos, I warn people over and over again how it's harder than it looks, but honestly, with the newer iPhones, with this video, I don't know if I would lose sleep not doing it here. I think DIYers who have patience will have good chance of success. When it comes to high-tech devices where a lot of engineering by the manufacturer goes into developing them, I'm all for keeping things as original as possible. When it comes to Apple specifically, for those familiar, they initially disabled Face ID on all displays that did not come with the phone, even if they were Apple original displays removed from another phone. Who knows what Apple will do on the next iOS update. With all original internals, you have nothing to worry about. Any questions? Drop it in the comments below and let's fix some phones. Thank you for watching.